if you're new here, welcome. I'm Zoe and I have just made the very exciting move to China. Back in February of this year, I accepted a teaching position at an international school here in Beijing. Fast forward to the present day, it is now August and I am on day 12 of quarantine here in Xiamen, China. Let me tell you, what a 12 days it has been. Things change on the reg here, so be prepared. I really wouldn't be surprised if after 24 hours that this video has become outdated, so please keep that in mind and always check with your local embassy for updated advice. Today I will be sharing my journey and the process I took in order to fly to China during a global pandemic. So to start off, step number 1, get your paperwork ready. I'm not going to go into the specifics of getting a visa or finding a job in China today. I'll leave that for another video, but just for this video I will list the minimum paperwork that you need to be able to fly to China. Number 1, you need a passport with enough validity for your stay in China. Number 2, you need a valid work permit or invitation to work. You will get this through your employer. Number 3, you need your PU letter. Now, if you are so lucky as to already have a Chinese vaccine, you do not need this PU letter. So skip step 3 altogether. But like me, like most of us, you'll need a PU letter, even if you've had another vaccine such as Pfizer or AstraZeneca. Step 4, you need your visa. Now for me, that's a Z visa, but for you, it could be something different like a business visa or otherwise. Yes, there's only 4 items and it's quite a short list. Just keep in mind that some of those documents take months to acquire, so you better get started. For me, and from what I've heard from other people, Beijing is probably the easiest city to apply for your PU letter and your work permit. That's just my personal experience. It probably took me about 1 month to get my work permit, and then I think it was only about 3 weeks for my PU letter, but that was super quick. I haven't actually heard of anyone who's got one that quickly, so maybe I was one of the lucky ones. Some people have been waiting for months for their documents to come through. Just keep that in mind. So step number 2, once you have got all of your documents ready, you can book a flight and fly to China. Wouldn't it be so nice if that's how easy it was? This is probably the hardest part of the whole process. Flights are super hard to find right now. Not only that, they're really expensive. If you haven't already negotiated this part of your contract, I strongly advise that you ask your employer to pay for your flights in advance for you. Personally, I would be avoiding any contract that is asking me to pay for my own flights only to be reimbursed at a later date. There have been lots of flight cancellations. There is potential to lose some serious money. There is some financial risk to booking flights to China right now. So if your employer can pay this for you, I really would take that offer. In normal times, I'm sure this is fine, but at the moment, I just personally wouldn't want to risk that financial loss. Okay, so if direct flights to China are offered in your country, well done, you're one of the lucky ones. But if you're like me and you're from the UK or another country where direct flights to China have not been available for a really long time, then you need to look for a non-direct flight. China currently allows this, but only if direct flights are not offered in your country. So if you're coming from a country where you can get a direct flight and you choose a non-direct flight, you won't be allowed into China. As far as I know, there are only a few select airports that are approved by China for transit. At the moment, those airports are Amsterdam, Frankfurt, and Helsinki. However, there may be more, I just don't know about them. Check with your local embassy to make sure. As well as this, you are also required to check your baggage right through. So that means you can't book a flight from 2 separate airlines or without them being partner airlines. This is because when you get to your transit airport, you are not allowed to leave the transit lounge to collect baggage and then recheck it. The best way to do this is to book directly through an airline. For me, I booked through Xiamen Airlines because they are partnered with KLM, which meant that both my flights were partnered and my luggage could go straight through to China. Even better, try and find an agent that specialises in China travel and China flights. I chose to fly from London to Amsterdam and then Amsterdam to Xiamen. I say chose, but to be honest, I didn't really have a choice. Flights were very, very limited and they were filling up pretty quickly. My one-way flight came to a whopping £5,000. That's right. No, seriously, it's 5,000. Now do you see why it's a good idea to negotiate flights? Just a word of warning as well, some flights might not even show up on websites such as Expedia or Skyscanner. My flights were booked through school and through an agent here in China, so I presume they had access to better seats or more stable flights. Step 3. Okay, so you've booked your flight. Next step is booking your COVID test. At the moment, the rules are, in order to board your first flight to China, you must have 2 negative COVID test results. One is a PCR and one is an antibody test. The tests have to be done within 48 hours of you flying. So if you fly on a Wednesday, the earliest you can get tested is a Monday. Just as a quick side note, if you have had a COVID vaccine, I really recommend you getting the extra N protein test. If you test positive for antibodies, what this test does is it determines whether your antibodies are from a vaccine or from a live COVID infection, and this will be paramount to getting your green code for the flight. If you get the option, I would opt for same day test results. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive. In fact, it's probably a lot more expensive, but trust me when I say you will be glad of the extra time you have in getting your green code. I think mine came to around £510, and that included the N protein test because I had both doses of the Pfizer vaccine, so I didn't want to risk a positive antibody result. Don't forget, you have to go to a testing centre that is approved by the Chinese embassy. I'll leave the list down below in the description box, but do check with your local embassy where your approved testing facilities are. So you've got your negative test result. I can tell you this, you will never be more excited to see some negative results in your entire life. So step 4 is to apply for your HDC code. This stands for Health Declaration Certificate, and you apply and submit directly to the embassy in your country. Once it turns green, you are good to go and you can board your first flight to China. The first thing you need to do is take screenshots or scanned copies of the following documents. Number 1, your flight itinerary. This has to include personal details such as your name or your date of birth or a ticket number. Number 2, your passport. Number 3, your Chinese visa. Number 4, your negative test results from your home country. And number 5, this one is optional. This is a proof of vaccination or a vaccination certificate if you have been vaccinated in your home country. Also, make sure that your screenshots or your images are in a JPEG format. PNG will not work, okay? Just as a handy tip, I recommend storing them in an album in your camera roll that's just for these images, or on your computer in a specific folder. Trust me, you will be accessing these screenshots a lot over the next few days, so if you can make it any easier to find, I would do it. Once you've got your screenshots sorted, you need to apply for your HDC. So this is what it looks like. You need to register. Once you've registered, you need to select apply. It should look like this. It's pretty self-explanatory. Don't overthink it. It's a really easy form. Yes, there are a lot of steps and there's a lot of things to upload, but you can't really go wrong. Just make sure you double check everything that you enter, okay? If you even miss a digit of your passport number, it will come back red, and that means you have to just resubmit all over again, and it could mean you missing your flight. So double check every detail. Okay, once you've submitted, now you wait. If you log out and log back in again, but this time select view, you will be faced with a grey code. This just means that you've submitted and it is pending approval. I submitted my HDC at 7 p.m. and it actually turned green at 7 a.m. the next morning. So as tempting as it is to refresh every 2 minutes, just get some sleep and just check it in the morning. Okay, step 5. If it's turned green, you can now board your first flight. If you're flying to Amsterdam, and I'm not sure if this applies to other airports too, but you have to pre-book your COVID tests for Amsterdam airport. I'll leave the link to the booking website below. It will not ask you for an advance payment. It is just a registration for when you first arrive. Make sure that you get 320 euros in cash before you travel to Amsterdam. Some people have had problems using international cards, so just to make it easier, take the currency with you so you don't have to pay any hefty fees at an ATM at the airport. Step number 6, you've made it to your transit airport. Now you need to get tested. Again, yes, again, this is probably only your 4th out of about 30 tests that you're going to get over the next few weeks, so be prepared. If you're flying via Amsterdam, head to gate D10. It's pretty easy to find. If you do what I did, just follow all the Chinese people and I'm sure you'll be in the right place. Once I was there, a lady in a hazmat suit was very quick to take payment and she handed me a form to fill in that was fully in Chinese. So have your translation apps ready. I got tested at around 2:45 in the afternoon and I didn't receive my results until about 11 o'clock that evening. I would not go to sleep until I get those test results. I know it's annoying and you really need sleep before that big journey, but trust me, you need as much time as possible to submit for your next HDC code. So as soon as I got my test result, I resubmitted for my HDC code. It's exactly the same process, same details. It will even have some of the things saved from when you last did it in your home country, but this time you will upload your new test results from Amsterdam instead of the ones in your home country. In my experience, this was the most stressful part of my journey. My code didn't turn green until 45 minutes before I boarded my flight. This was actually the case for a few other people I was traveling with, so don't worry, it will come through. It's hard not to stress about it, but they know your flight details and they know the departure time of your flight. It does work out, trust me. But if it gets to like 10 minutes before you're bored and you still haven't got your green code, then I'd be worrying a little bit. Okay, step 7. Now you've got your green code, you can get on that flight and head to China. I forgot to mention, make sure you have downloaded WeChat before you leave your home country. There is a little form that you have to fill out on WeChat in a mini program called the Customs Pocket Declaration. It looks like this. It's only valid for 24 hours though, so make sure you do it on the day that you fly. You don't have to wait for a code to come through or anything to turn green. You just need to submit it and screenshot the barcode that it gives you. You'll need this when you go through customs in China. Okay, step number 8, you have arrived in China. Once you get to China, do not worry, there are lots of people around to help you. You can't really go wrong here. There are plenty of airport staff in hazmat suits ready to guide you through the process. Here you will have to do another PCR and antibody test, and be warned, these ones are the most painful. She went so far down my nose that I felt like I'd swallowed it and it was already in my stomach. Once you've had those horrific tests done, you will be taken through to baggage claim, through customs, through a passport check, and you'll be put on a bus. This bus actually takes you to a holding centre where they start to split you up into end destination. So for us, we went to the room where everyone travelling to Beijing was going to, and then we stayed there for about half an hour and then they put us on another bus to take us to our hotel. All in all, I think the process from getting off the plane right through to checking into the hotel probably took around 4 hours, and I didn't see any toilets, so I really would go before you land. I'll go into more detail about quarantine here in China in another video, so subscribe for updates on those. But hopefully this has helped you understand the process of flying to China during this lovely global COVID pandemic. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Yes, I've been through this process, but it doesn't mean I have all the answers. Trust me, I have more questions than answers still, and I'm on day 12 out of 14. Or you can use the comment section to share your own experiences of quarantine here in China. I'd love to hear about it. Don't forget to subscribe for some more China travel content for when I actually finally leave this hotel room. Next time I see you, I'll be a free woman. See you then.